Top of the morning, and here we go. A brand new day, the 5th of August. You got the Aired Out podcast live from Fly on the Wall Productions here on North Main Street in beautiful Barre, Vermont. We're looking at some cloudy skies today, some poor air quality. I think most of us know by now that there's some fires burning in Canada, which is making for high particle content in the air that we breathe, and is affecting a good number of people. Not really me, at least I don't think it is, but anyway, could be you. So keep that in mind today. Wind's going to be light. 81 degrees for the high today. Tonight, partly cloudy and 59, and then Wednesday, tomorrow, looks like partly cloudy and, well, at least to start out, maybe some hazy sunshine in the afternoon. Makes for a beautiful sunset, though. 80 degrees for the high tomorrow. I don't know if you've noticed the moon at night is just it's got that orange glow, all from the smoke from the wildfires. Just amazing. Jared Waples yesterday, again, back on the air with me. It was an incredible, for me anyway, and I hope it was for you, an incredible experience just listening to him. Nicole Pierce from Choice has been in touch with me, and we are talking about doing some stuff together and bringing more light to TBIs. And Jared's going to be involved with that. I'm very much looking forward to this. Things have kind of taken on their own course here, which is amazing. And I love being on the ride. I really do. Mark Tatro is going to be with us tonight. I am going to turn a camera on and chat with him about the Nodes Family Benefit, which is coming up and approaching rather quickly, Saturday, August 23rd, 2 p.m. over at the farm. It's going to be amazing with Heartless and Donna Thunder and Shane McGrath, Jamie Lee Thurston, Dave Keller among the performers. Incredible food, incredible times, and we're going to try to help this family rebuild their barn and raise some money and put our community together for it. So the update on this, and this is something that's been constantly evolving over the last month or so with Mark Tatro and sponsors and others that are chipping in and getting involved. So we'll have an update for you tonight. Probably, I don't know exactly when. I'm going to pinpoint that later when I can chat with Mark, and I'll give you a heads up when we're going to be on the air. Sitting right next to me, Steve Mackenzie. Welcome, buddy. I'm so glad you're with me in the studio.
Good morning. Glad to be here. Always great
man.
to be here.
You look great. How's retirement going? Are you having a blast?
Excellent. Yeah. Not looking back. Enjoying the flexibility that retirement brings.
Yeah.
It allows me to stay busy civically,
yeah.
and as the old saying goes, spend more time with the family.
Yes. Which
so all the cliches apply.
You said that last time I had you in here. You're like, nothing's more important. Plain out. Period. End of discussion. That's your thing right there.
And we have 4 grandkids, so those who live locally, so that keeps us busy.
Yeah. Now, did you go out and buy that big Harley? What did you do?
No, I had I bought an anniversary edition Sportster.
You did
back in 2001. I mean, it's 20 some odd years old, and I only have 10,000 miles on the damn thing. I barely got it out this summer, but the toy run is this Saturday, I believe.
Yes, it is.
I'm going to try to make it a point to be there and
find
other excuses to ride. Of course, my wife has a heart attack every time I get on it now.
Yes.
So,
are the knees okay?
No, the knees are a little bit of a they're 77-year-old knees. So they're kind of rusty, but I'm hoping to do something that'll take care of it. Not an operation, but probably get some gel shots.
Yeah. That's fun stuff.
Yeah. So I tried the steroids, and those didn't do a damn thing. So we're moving it up a notch.
Listen,
but really, I got no complaints. Relatively good health, and no major complaints.
That's great to hear, man. You are so respected by so many in our community, and you were the city manager for
12 years.
I was going to say a billion, but
sometimes it felt like that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that job.
Yeah. How did you get involved with the 143 Main Street initiative?
Yeah, it certainly wasn't by plan. But when I retired, and about, I think, a year after I retired, I was asked if I would consider being a member of the Barre Area Development Corporation Board of Directors. And I said, yeah, another way to stay involved civically. And so I said, sure. And then I was on the board for about a year. So I think this is probably about a year and a half ago would have been towards the first year. I've been on about 2.5 years. So at around sort of towards the end of the first year, we had gone through 2 floods. I attended a lot of the recovery forums. BADC had gone through its strategic planning process, and in every forum, one of the most common complaints that came to the surface was that damn blighted building on Main Street, the J.J. Newberry building. And if you ask anybody on Main Street, you get the same response. And
if you ask anybody anywhere near Barre,
and people are just upset with it, and even more upset and frustrated that the owners have done nothing with it. Just let it continue to deteriorate, and they're really not responsible civically with that building. So it after I just heard this repeated complaint, but I knew that was even when I was manager. I mean, it wasn't a new complaint, but what struck me was the consistency, and that complaint showed up every time there was a public forum. So I just out of the clear blue at one executive committee meeting of the board, I said, hey. And actually, as part of the strategic plan, the intent was an objective is to help redevelop the downtown and deal with blighted buildings. I forget exactly what the specific wording is, but it's within the vision of the strategic plan to try to do something about downtown buildings and certainly Newberry's. So I said, I just threw something out on the table. I said, I know Jeff Jacobs, who is one of the 2 owners. Not well, we're not friends. I guess I'd say we're acquaintances, but I had done a couple of transactions with him as city manager to acquire property that we needed to develop Enterprise Alley, which is the area behind the old Aubuchons, behind the flower shop now, and so on. But we had two buildings that had to be acquired. One of them was owned by Jeff, and there had been a deal in the works before, purchase and sale agreement in the works before I became manager, but that had gone stale and it had sort of fallen off the radar screen. So I helped to resurrect that because one of the objectives was to move this depot, the Enterprise Alley project along. So I knew Jeff, had worked with him slightly, and I thought I might have a basis for reaching out and saying, hey, would you consider selling the building? But the proposal I made to the executive committee, I said, now, they have rejected or dismissed previous offers in the past. And
both Jeff and his partner.
Yes, Steve Lewenstein. And they had rejected the offer. In fact, I think more than rejected, they'd kind of dismissed the offer that was made by the city previously of up to $400,000 to buy the property, which the current assessment is only $325,000, and who knows where that will go.
I was going to ask you that.
With the appraisal coming up, my expectation it would decrease, but I'm not an appraiser, so who knows. Mm-hmm. But at any rate, so I said they've rejected. They've rejected what I think any layperson would consider was a reasonable offer for the property. So I said we've got to go to them.
How long ago was this again?
Well, this started probably when I proposed the idea, probably about 2 years ago last spring.
Okay.
And I may be losing track of timing here, but anyway, I made the proposal. I said, but it's got to be a serious proposal. I said, you know what? They've been asking in the past. They've asked $1.2, $1.3, $1.4 million for the property. That's absurd. But I said we got to make a credible offer. So I picked a number out of the air. I said, we got to offer them $1 million, and to grab their attention, and we've got to do it in a very formal way. So long story short, the executive committee embraced the idea immediately. Then I wanted to make sure, so I needed to present it to the full board. The full board got behind it unanimously, and then it took some time to do the legwork to get ready to reach out, and that legwork was the preparation of a formal purchase option agreement, so that when I approached first Jeff and then Lewenstein, we had a very credible offer, and we had a very formal document. It wasn't a phone call, it wasn't a letter, it wasn't an email, it was a very formal document. So I wanted them to understand that this was a very serious and a credible offer. So it took from, I think, May or June through September, and then in September I reached out with an initial phone call to Jeff, and we probably talked 3 or 4 times over the course of a couple of months to see that they would be interested in pursuing like that. So, long story short, around November they agreed and executed the purchase option. So
that was this past November.
No, that was
the year before.
Just a minute. No, that was this past November.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So then so the first step was then to go to the council to see if the council would don't contribute the $400,000 that they had previously offered to them. I think we needed. I thought, as far as the campaign was concerned, we needed both the public support of the council and also the foundation donation of $400,000, which at the time was to try to raise $1 million. And it took 3 meetings with the council, a couple in executive session, then a public meeting for the council to actually act on it, and they did. And that was, I think, towards the it might have been the last meeting in December or first meeting in January, and they endorsed it. Then we spent about a month, 6 weeks working with a fundraising campaign consultant who helped us organize the campaign, which was immensely helpful. So in February we really went public with a formal announcement and so on. And in the meantime, the board of directors had there's a 100% donation from the board of directors. 15 directors, a total of $75,000. It's about $5,000. It's an average of $5,000 per director, and the individual contributions range in between, or up to $10,000. So, but it was unanimous support of the directors, and I felt it was important that we have skin in the game, that we put money where our mouth is, and then we went public. We also had Black River Design Architects in Montpelier very graciously offered some professional time to develop some exhibits of what this could be. And I think we got one that you can tee up here sometime. But we had I had originally asked for 12 months to raise the money. Steve said no, but I'll give you 6. So I said okay, 6 months. So 6 months actually expired in early June, this past June.
Yeah.
And at that time, we hadn't raised the money, hadn't really come close. I mean, we'd raised at that time, I think, a total of somewhere in the $670,000 range. So I called, talked to Steve, made that. I said, listen, we're nowhere near $1 million, and I now conclude that we won't make $1 million. I thought we could, but what we got is $670,000. Will you take that? And he said, in so many words, he said no. So I said, listen, I don't think we can make $1 million. I think we could make $800,000. But if that's an acceptable number to you, but we'll need another 90 days to raise that amount of money. And long story short, he agreed. He and Jeff agreed. And so that 90 days expires on September 9th. So we've got about another month or 5 weeks, and part of the reason being here was just to give an update on where we are. So we negotiated the extension, reduced the price by $200,000. So it reduces the campaign goal from $1.1 million down to $850,000, and the $850,000 comes from the $800,000 in purchase price plus. The organization needs some money in reserve to cover the cost of the campaign, the costs of the associated with the actual purchase or the transactions involved, and so on. So I reduced that amount from $100,000 to $50,000. So $850,000 is our current goal. As of this week, we have reached $740,000. So we got another $110,000 to go. I'm actually hopeful by the end of the week that we could hit $750,000 or maybe even a tad higher. So we cracked that $100,000 goal of $100,000 remaining. And I still think it's possible to raise $110,000 in 5 weeks. Some people, I think, probably feel I'm crazy or whatever, or naive, and probably all of the above. But I still have 25 to 30 people to reach out to directly. So I feel the potential is still there. And actually, equally as important, tonight on the council agenda is a memorandum of understanding that we worked with the city manager and the mayor to develop, which really states the understandings and obligations of both parties in this transaction. And when the original $400,000 was voted by the council, the mayor was very clear that we need a sponsorship agreement or some document that reduces to writing what the understandings and the obligations are of both parties. And I fully supported that. I think it's best for all parties. So in the last 2 to 3 weeks, we developed that, and it's now on the agenda for this evening. I think it's very clear in what the obligations are. The commitment from Barre Area Development is that we will. There are 2 environmental things that have to be accomplished before the property can change hands. One is to enter into a umbrella agreement with the state, which puts the new owner in a what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of a hold harmless state in terms of whatever environmental remediation needs to be done with that site. And then, in order to apply for that umbrella, apply for the umbrella agreement, there's a $500 fee, and then you also have to complete an update to the environmental assessment that was done a couple of years ago, but because it's 2 years ago, although nothing has happened, it's still out of date, so it needs to be updated. So that's $3,000. We've offered that we would get that work done, cover the cost of the umbrella application, cover the cost of the environmental site assessment. We would offer to cover the city's legal fees for the property transaction for the closing. But what has to happen, which I've come to learn after we started the initiative, is that Barre Area Development cannot take title to the site. The parties at the closing will be the owners and the city of Barre, and the title to the property will go directly to the city of Barre, and that's part of this memorandum of understanding. And the reason is that we can't take title, complete all that environmental stuff, and then turn it over to the city. The city, that only works sort of in the first property transaction. In other words, when it goes from the current owners to whoever buys it as the prospective purchaser. Once, if BADC were to buy it, then and go to turn it over to the city at that point isn't an eligible prospective purchaser for the purposes of that umbrella program, and that's huge. That's huge. Yeah. The MOU says we will, that the property, the city will take title to the property at the closing. I've already gotten a commitment from the owners that they're okay with that they understand that the property is not going to go to BADC, it's going to go to the city. I'm cautiously optimistic the council will approve that MOU tonight, which is a huge building block, if you will. And then the rest is continued fundraising. We'll see where we go. So,
wow.
Yeah,
I remember Nicholas. The one of the last things he said when he was in here on the air, and he's doing a great job, by the way.
Oh, I think so. I
city manager.
Yes, I think so.
Is that there's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a lot of moving pieces here, and this is baby steps. Yeah. Are needed
I think that's what people don't understand. First of all, what I really appreciate from Nicholas is when the first time I approached him with this, with the idea of approaching the council for the contribution and whatever, he was on board immediately. He has been supportive right from the beginning, and that's huge. That's really huge. So I'm very appreciative of that. I'd like to think he is city manager representing the city, and BADC are good partners, and we have a mutual interest in this kind of project. But going back to what you're saying about baby steps, a lot of there's a lot of skepticism out there. There's a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of negativity, but some negativity, and I can accept that. And I think one of the issues is, being completely transparent and if you will, is, people are saying, well, how could you originally offered $1 million and now even $800,000 for that piece of junk property? And I understand that totally. And I'm following the the wisdom, if you will, of the city manager of St. Albans, Dominic Cloud, who faced a similar situation in St. Albans, 10 years ago or more. Had a recalcitrant landowner downtown. It was a core piece of property. It was key to the redevelopment of downtown, St. Albans. And by the way, if you go up to St. Albans now, that city has turned itself around. This is a model of redevelopment. But they face the same obstacle, a recalcitrant landowner downtown who didn't really want to give up the property or not at a reasonable price, and so on and so forth. And so his advice, wisdom to all of the city managers at the time, because he came and made a presentation while I was still city manager. He said, you know what? You got to hold your nose and pay the price. You got to get over that. And I understand that some people aren't able to do that, and I respect that. But for the people who have donated, they've been able to say, okay, we just got to overlook that, if we want to help support the initiative. And I think one of the things I should have said originally is that the whole purpose of this initiative, the most immediate objective of this initiative is to get the property out of the hands of the current owners.
Right.
If we can't do that, nothing happens. Right. It's going to sit there for another 5 or 10 years or whatever, and whatever. The key objective of this campaign is to get a hold of the property. Yeah. And in this case, put it in the hands of the city, who will be in a better position, is an understatement, but we'll be in a position to access grants and funding that will help with the remediation and, ultimately go through
the next baby step.
Yeah, the example I cite is the development of the redevelopment of the old Whalen's Brooks Drug property, just down, a block down the street here, to City Place. That started with the city getting a grant and buying the property. Ironically, from Jeff Jacobs and Steve Lewinstein. They owned that property. But the first thing the city did was acquire ownership, and then over time, tear down the building, prepare the site, level the site, prepare it for a developer to come in. It sat there that had happened before I came in as city manager. And probably a year after I became city manager, I said, well, gee, rather than just leave that as an empty site, let's just develop it into a little mini park. So we had a mini park. In fact, it was a sculpture park at the time, because Sue Higbee from SPA but arranged to have some sculpture work put onto the site. So I thought it was a neat little park, and it was a attractive asset to the downtown rather than those old dilapidated buildings or a vacant site. So the same thing I envision will happen here. Once it's acquired, then the city can start that same process that was done for the ultimate development of the City Place. And, look what's sitting there now, the 5-story City Place building, contributing, $300,000 or more to the grand list. In taxes every year, maybe more than that. I just actually forget the exact same number. So this is kind of like deja vu all over again. It's been done, but a lot of people are critical because, well, what is the plan? What are you going to do with this? How can you propose this without knowing exactly what you're going to do? Well, when you stop to think about it, first of all, there is no way anybody, and including BADC, is going to spend any money to absorb the cost of preparing development plans for a property we don't own. You got to own the property before you begin to make that kind of strategic investment. So again, if we can't get the property into the city's hands, nothing's going to happen. Once we do, it will happen. My expectation, it will be similar to City Place, and it'll probably be a 3 to 5 year process to develop that process. Could be shorter, could be longer, who knows?
With a whole hell of a lot of patience that will be needed.
Yes, but the reality is, in many respects, it's no different than any other major municipal project that's undertaken. The general public, understandably, doesn't see all of the legwork that goes into getting projects into a construction phase. I mean, the amount of time and invested in legwork and grant applications that went into the Depot Square or Enterprise Alley redevelopment. I mean, that was years. That was years. These things, they sort of become public in the sort of the light of day when you're ready to move ahead with the project and go to construction. But they sort of like, it's like the what's the old saying? You become an instant success after 20 years of working at it, and that's the same thing here. So in many respects, this is no different than any other major development project. I mean, a lot of the redevelopment of I mean, look at the Big Dig. I mean, that was 20 years in the making, and of course that had a lot of hurdles or whatever. But my point is, none of these projects happen overnight, and this is no different. It's a major undertaking. Takes a lot of moving parts. I remember well the City Place project, and the city was involved, but even the day of the closing, I mean, there were I can't remember how many parties were involved in that to make it financially viable, and I expect the same thing will happen here. But it will happen if the city can get control of the property. And again, if it doesn't, it will sit there for who knows how long.
So we're going about this at a grassroots level.
Absolutely.
Of
Absolutely.
Trying to get or organically our community to rally, to pay these guys off and get power. So, what I've heard, a couple of things is, well, if we're making a donation privately or as a business or whoever, aren't we part owners of that property?
Interesting question.
If
Absolutely,
and I've heard it. I mean, I've heard the questions. They've come to me. Hey, if I'm if I donate $5,000-$10,000, do I have some stake in the property? Am I going to reap any rewards?
Well, the answer is pretty simple.
Tax revenue wise, or anything. And I've also heard, my God, I mean, this is wonderful, but we should have been having this conversation a decade ago.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda. I mean, I guess that's the thing that always I don't know whatever, but there is so much to be done in any municipality, but and Barre included. There are so many things out there that need to be done. You can't bite them off all at once.
Town garage.
Exactly. Well, that's a whole nother story, but I won't. But it's a whole nother story that goes to the how long does it take to get something in place. But it's just another example of that. But it's very easy for the layperson to be critical of, well, how come this wasn't done before? How come nobody saw? Well, how come you didn't think of it before? How come you didn't have the idea of this campaign in this case, or how come you didn't? So it's always easy to sit back and be critical. And that's one of the things I've learned about public services. There's always going to be critics of what you do, no matter how well-intentioned, no matter how good. And you have to be able to shrug that off. And
oh, man, you're hitting a hot button right now, because this is how my last week was going right there.
Yeah. And you've got to be able to, develop some thicker skin, calluses on your shoulders, and say, okay, and not get caught up in trying to convince the naysayers. You never will. And they're not interested in being convinced. They're more interested in being critical of people who are working hard for the betterment of the community, and but it's a lot easier to sit, on Facebook or Front Page Forum or council meetings or whatever, and just be critical, and that's just the nature of the beast. But just to go back to your question, so if you make a donation, absolutely not. You're not a co-owner. You've made a contribution to a fundraising campaign. It's just like you're not. I would go out a little bit of a limb and say whenever you make a donation to any 501c3 or campaign or whatever, you don't become a partner in that campaign. But two things. Again, the one I forgot to say. To the extent that people have made donations to this point in time, if the campaign is not successful, their donations will be returned 100% in full. So individuals, and including the cities, of course, the city hasn't transferred any money yet, which is fine, but their obligation, anybody's donation obligation would go away, and we would refund in total all the money that has been donated to the time of making a no-go decision. But that said, all of the money that you donate is tax deductible as a 501c3 donation. And if you're over the age of 72 and want to make a donation, you can make what's called a qualified charitable distribution, because anybody over 72, if they've got any IRAs or 401ks or whatever, have to take required minimum distributions every year. You can allocate whatever portion of that you want, frankly, to any 501c3, but in this case, Barre Area Development, and that will qualify as a tax-deductible donation. And you can make that. But the important thing about that is, you can make that donation out of your RMD, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. So you get a benefit when you do it that way.
I got an idea that just came to me. I don't mean to scare you, because I know this is live, but this just came to me, man.
Yeah.
It's like we're in the granite capital of the world.
Yeah.
So why not say something to the effect of, hey, anybody who, we've got about a month here to come up with 110K.
Yeah.
Anyone who donates more than whatever, I'm just going to throw a number in the air here.
Yeah.
Anyone who donates more than $10,000, there's going to be a granite plaque.
Yeah.
Once we get through the green space and we get into construction, and your name or your business name, however you want it to be said, is going to be etched in granite as a contributor to making this building possible.
Ironic that you say that, because that actually is part of the MOU with the city, is that. But the threshold is steep. Anybody, entity, family, or whatever who's donated $50,000 or more will get their name on a plaque. Right now, it says similar to the one that's on City Place. But whether it's bronze or granite, that can be decided in the future. I mean, that's a high hurdle.
Sure.
We have a couple that will reach that threshold or have reached that threshold.
Sure.
But yeah, we're doing that. Yeah.
One of the, and you may not want to speak much on this, and that's fine. I understand. Yeah. But one of the frustrations that with all of this that I have felt, and I've had others say the same thing to me, is you got two guys, Jeff Jacobs and Steve Lewenstein.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ruffle any feathers here, but you got two guys who are, fair to say, very well off financially.
Yep.
We could talk about, we could do a whole show just about that.
Oh, yeah.
why, I understand they're businessmen. I get it. I understand. But we have a city who, and I kind of threw a little bit of a similar question at Nicholas. We have a city that has had some very, very trying times. We've taken 2 sucker punches on the same day, separated by 1 year. 2 devastating floods that have really done some serious damage physically and emotionally and mentally to not only area businesses, but also the residents that make up our community. One would think, maybe, that these 2 guys would just be like, can we afford an $850,000 donation? Can we afford $1 million donation, or whatever the hell it is? I mean, what's another $200,000 or whatever? Can we afford that kind of donation to a city that's just, my God, this city, even if we just give them this property, they're buying the old car that's got to have a lot of money put into it to get it up and running again. They're going to have their own expenses down the road here, which is going to be huge. Not just environmental remediation, but just simply demolition alone.
See, the answer to that is,
I know we're getting really candid here, but Steve,
I have no problem. Listen, I that's half the reason for being here, is to try to get out what I'd like to think is factual information. But those guys those guys aren't concerned about any of those costs because they never intend to incur them. They are not going to do anything with that property until somebody comes along with the right price and buys it. And
money, money, money. It's the root
money
of all
for
evil.
people who don't need it, quite frankly. For people who don't need it.
You said it.
The $400,000 that the city originally offered was more than enough. And I think even that caused some pain for some people, and I understand that. But
more than enough.
You have to come. I say you have to. I mean, one has to accept the reality of the situation, and the reality of the situation, we've got 2 rich guys who don't really care about civic improvement, who own a building that they have no intention of doing anything with.
Clearly.
And are just waiting for the right buyer to come along. Now, the reality is, and this is a point I will reinforce if and when the time comes, nobody is ever going to offer any more money than I don't care if we reach $800,000 or something less. Whatever we reach, nobody else is ever going to offer that kind of money for this property. So this is their one and only chance to unload it, get rid of it, and be done with it. Otherwise, the brutal reality is their estates will be dealing with it, and who knows what happens then.
You're saying the state would be dealing with it?
Their estates.
Their estates.
The estate of Jacobs and Lowenstein, because if and when they, everybody's going to pass away sooner or later, and when that happens, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, if they don't sell it now to the best, highest offer that has come along in 15 years and will never come again, if they don't let it go for whatever amount of money we raise, nobody else is going to come along and offer that kind of money, and it'll go to their estates, and who knows? Something is going to happen with that property. There's no doubt about it. It's a question of, how long and when. I mean, will it happen sooner because this campaign is successful, or is it going to take 50 years to do something with that property? Probably not 50, but is it going to be 5? Is it going to be 10? Is it going to be 20?
We're not even talking about how beautiful this property used to be, and your memories there, and others' memories there, going to the soda fountain and so on and so forth. But have you been in that building within the last 5? 10 years?
Yeah, because we put up the thermometer.
That's
And
right.
And
What was it like going?
It takes every fiber of my body to walk more than 10 feet into that building. In fact, the building is off limits. The code enforcement has prohibited any access into the building. I mean, if you go in, you can see the floors have all swelled and are uneven. If you look way in the back, the floors have rotted through.
Yeah.
Have every reason to believe there may be 2 or 3 feet, if not more, water in the basement. I mean, it's mold.
Wow.
It's got to be mold infested.
Wow. Haven for rats.
Well, people have brought. It's amazing how many times people have brought that phrase up or that word up. Unless I've never seen any evidence of it. I don't know that there's any. This is a city. At least I never got any complaints about rodents or whatever. But it certainly could be. I don't know that it is. But it's a haven for nothing good.
Very true. Aside from just being Barry's eyesore, I mean, it's a hazard on many levels. A fire hazard.
Yeah,
a fire hazard.
Well, it could be. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in there. It's been entirely stripped of any interior furnishings. I'm sure the power has been turned off. So some of the, but I hate to, whatever, but you remember the Cornerstone building that Tom owned sat vacant for a while, and there was a fire on the upper floor that transients had set. I think they monitor this pretty closely to make sure that access hasn't been gained and so on. But you never know.
There's going to be a price tag with remediation. There's going to be a price tag with
raising the building,
demolition,
preparing the site,
and preparing the site for maybe some green space. We're going to show a graphic here in just a second.
Great.
And that green space, as Nicholas alluded, could be there. At least it's not going to be an eyesore, but it could be there potentially for several years.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Before we take the next baby step.
The park down here, where the development seat place. I mean, I think the park was there for at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
my response to that, of course, is that what do you want to look at? The Newberry's building or a mini park?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've been saying to Tom for I don't know how long, but and you know this, and I think I said this to you the last time you were in here, and I remember saying this to Lucas, it's and we all know this. It's a large building.
Yeah.
It's a large building.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know how many square feet?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna throw out the number 16,000 square feet, but I'm not going to swear to that. I think I should know, but.
Having this on, and some of the facade down there is beautiful.
Yeah,
granite. I mean,
or it was at one time.
On the lower part, but here we are. We have this large building that's on the north end of the street.
Yeah, that's
getting all of the southern light exposure that's coming over the buildings and just shining this freaking spotlight right on this dusty, dirty eyesore. And
if it's a good time to put up that exhibit,
I'm going to put it up right now
because we've got present, interim, and future there. But once you get it up, just let me know.
Yeah, it's up there right now.
Okay, so what I want to be clear is that the only thing that's definite about that exhibit is the photo of the existing building.
Yeah,
that's there. That's now. That's real.
That's at the top.
The other two parts, the interim concept and the ultimate concept are just that. They're concepts, they're visions, they're what could be. These are not developed plans. These are architectural renderings, sketches, concepts. But the idea is to kind of put some flesh on the bone, if you will, to say, so what could it be? This is what it looks like now. What could it be ultimately, and what might it be in the interim? And, among other things, people have to decide, is the interim something you'd rather look at as a hedge against the future, or do you want to keep staring at that blighted building?
So we're showing right now the proposed green space.
Yes.
A rough idea of what it would look like.
And then there's as many concepts for that as there are people. So that's not cast in concrete. That's not hard. And quite honestly, people. One of the two components of this memorandum of understanding are that, and quite honestly, if anybody wants to see that, it's in the council packet that was published on Friday. So you can go into the city website, go into the council agenda section, and you'll see this in the packet.
Okay.
But two of the foundational elements of that MOU is that BADC has the sole authority to decide whether this campaign is successful or not. So that is entirely within Barre Area Development's domain.
Okay.
However, what is also very clear there is that the city has the sole responsibility and authority to decide how this property will be developed.
Right.
So people who are concerned that, well, the city's donating $400,000 or may even have to spend more money, the city will develop a very public process that will help shape how that property will be eventually developed. And eventually we'll get to the point where the request for proposals from developers, the same process that was used for City Place.
Yeah, this is going to take a long time.
3 years would be lightning speed. 5 years is very likely. Could it take longer? Yeah, but that process won't even start until the city gets ownership of the property.
And one of the ideas that several have proposed, including Nicholas, is a combination of some retail and some housing.
Yes, that concept again.
Show it right now.
Exactly. The what you're looking at is a concept. It's not a hard design. There are no construction documents. It's an architectural
decisions that have been made.
Pardon?
No decisions that have been made.
Exactly. Nothing. Nobody's decided this is going to be it. This is an example of what it could be. Is it going to be 5 stories like that building? Will it be 2 stories? Will it be 3? Will it be 4? I mean, that all depends on the economics of whatever is proposed. I think the two things that are likely is the first floor has to be commercial retail by zoning, by current zoning. So it's got to be commercial retail, which only inures to the benefit of the downtown anyways. That's what we're trying to do, is stimulate more continued vitality of the downtown. The upper stories are likely to be housing, and I don't think it would be low-income housing. It might be moderate, but it likely will be a large market rate component as well. And what could go in there, maybe even on the first floor, but certainly on the upper floor, could be a daycare. So it could be housing with daycare. I won't say the possibilities are limitless, because there are certain constraints that go with the site and zoning and so on and so forth.
Sure.
But let's just say they're numerous.
Sure.
And they're all a function of, I think, a developer coming forward with some ideas, some proposals that are financially viable, public input from the community during that process.
Needs to happen.
Yeah. But it's not like the public won't have an opportunity for input. But gotta get the property out of the owner's hands before that happens.
I vote for a roller skating rink, Steve. I'm just saying.
There may be people who support that, and there may be people who don't. So we'll put that on the dartboard, and we'll see where that shakes out in the public process.
In all seriousness, though, I have heard that there needs to be. I understand office space, I understand retail, and I understand housing, and I get it. I understand all that. But I've also heard, and I also kind of feel and agree, that there needs to be something more inclusive of getting families together, whether it's some kind of fun spot or I'm kind of half joking about the roller skating rink, but somewhere that families can get out of their homes during the winter months, get together, and burn off some steam and run around, and maybe an indoor climbing center or something. Not another bar. Please, not another bank. Steve, I'll get down right here, and I'll beg you.
You know,
if I have to get down on my knees and beg.
But
please,
you know, that's interesting that you say.
Not another bank.
That's interesting you say that, because that's one of the when I originally said, and quite frankly, I still believe this community. There's a lot of money in this community. You just don't necessarily see it. But I mean, look at the number of banks on Main Street. I mean, and they're surviving. So there's, and that was one of the reasons why I said there's absolutely no question in my mind this community has the ability to raise $1 million. Fortunately, now we don't have to raise that much, but even raise $800,000. But it's obviously dependent on a case-by-case basis and where people wish to donate their money and so on and so forth. But the financial resources are there. I'm fully convinced the community has the financial resources. It's just individuals have to make decisions about where do they donate their money. But so going back to your question about the roller skating rink, I mean, I guess that's part of or
just kind of some indoor option to get families together.
Absolutely. And quite honestly, if there were a daycare in there, that would be supportive of that, because it would support families living, and maybe it's not so much families that would occupy this, as opposed to maybe either retired couples or folks. I mean, the hospital is looking for they can't find enough housing to meet their employee needs, and I think there are other companies and corporations around as well. And they're offering jobs to people who accept the jobs and then find out they can't find acceptable place to live. Yes. So, but in terms of what could be in that building, I would envision that over time the city will undertake a process that reaches out to the public and says, "What would you like to see here?"
Yeah.
And I think all of those ideas are going to be put forth, and because the city in the last 2 to 3 years. Even when I was manager, we went through, I directed some processes, the refurbishment of the swimming pool and so on and so forth, where we reached out and got public input and said, okay, what are your ideas before, so that the public doesn't hopefully develop the idea, well, you guys had this all decided first and you never asked us what we wanted.
Yeah.
I know Nicholas and the mayor, and I'm sure, and the council will work hard to make sure that doesn't happen, that there's plenty of opportunity
to speak up
for public. Yeah. So,
well, that's what our community members want.
Yeah. And
they want to be heard.
There will be forums for people to make I don't think any one person can think of all the possibilities. So that's why having a public process where folks can say, well, what about this? What about that? And so on and so forth. And then, you're going to have eventually the process will have to sort through all of the suggestions or whatever and see what rises to the surface and develop a core concept for a redevelopment of the site.
Queensbury, New York, Lake George, Burlington, Vermont, just off the top of my head, have, God, I could go on.
Yeah.
Rhode Island, Hartford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
They have places. One of the ones that I'm thinking of is called the Fun Spot, where, there's a cafe, there's food, there's drink.
Yeah.
Adults can come in there, flip open their laptops, get some work done, make some phone calls, whatever. Well, the kids are climbing, running around, bouncy houses, indoor, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a comment,
but
just an idea.
The key to all that,
it's got to generate revenue. I understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to be any individual business or whatever that goes in there.
Sure.
Just like any other business on Main Street.
Has to help
a lot of people say, well, why doesn't somebody start this? And why doesn't somebody do that?
It's got to help the city.
Well, no, but it's got to when people say, well, why doesn't somebody do this or open that store or do this or whatever? There's a hell of a financial risk involved to anybody who undertakes a venture like that.
No doubt.
You got to have
an insurance policy that's massive.
Well, not only that, but I mean, you got to, businesses come and go.
Sure.
And so it's one thing to say, well, why don't we have one? The idea sounds great.
Sure.
But the implementation,
if it doesn't thrive, what else could go there?
Yeah,
quickly.
Yeah. Or whatever. But I mean, why doesn't somebody do this? Well,
sure.
Somebody's got to have financial resources. They got to be willing to undertake the financial risk.
Yeah.
And then, frankly, the blood, sweat, and tears to run.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
None of these business owners work 40 hours a week.
Sure.
They're night and day operations, and there's a lot of sweat equity in any business on downtown.
No doubt.
And a lot of people who say, well, why doesn't somebody do this? They're not prepared to put in that sweat equity. So
of course.
It's easy to say, why doesn't somebody do something? But
you were just talking about housing a little while ago. I want to make sure that I don't forget, Wednesday, Fox Run Apartments is having their ribbon cutting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which is going
That's
to
up
be
at the
huge.
mall.
That's huge. That's 30 units up there.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful. God, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to getting up there and checking that out. But yeah, man. I mean, I get it. We need housing.
Badly.
We need some,
every community, and it's not just a Barre issue. I mean, every community is starving for housing.
Sure.
And some have been, further down the road, they've been more successful at getting some developed. But Barre is doing the Seminary Street apartments. I forget what they call them now.
Yeah. Nicholas is going to be coming in soon.
Yeah.
To talk about that.
Yeah. That's coming along. I still think it's at least another year or two away. I'm not saying that with absolute authority, but I mean, I don't think they've commissioned a design yet. I don't think they've entered into a construction contract. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But you still got to have the time to prepare all of the construction documents and then construction,
I'm sure BADC has heard this, or if not, will soon. And I know Nicholas has, but a lot of us in this community we're water shy. We're afraid.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're afraid of the water.
Yeah.
And why are you going to spend all that money and then it's going to flood and blah blah. Like Nicholas said, like you've said, step one, let's acquire the property.
Yeah.
Green space it, and we'll figure out how to make sure that whatever happens there is going to be able to withstand another potential
and quite
flood.
frankly, that's not difficult at all. If take a look at City Place. City Place was built. If you take a look at any new construction downtown in the last 10 years, None of those properties suffered any damage in the 2023-24 floods. City Place, Key Bank, Community National, the Jiffy Mart, Dunkin' Donuts, the bank at the corner of the Davis shopping center there, and even the shopping center.
Community National?
Yes, I think it's Community. No, Community National is right across from the old Key Bank. That's Community Bank or something. There's a number of banks with the word community in it, and it's hard to keep them straight.
Are you saying we have too many banks?
No, that's not what it's saying at all. That was not my point at all. My point only went to flood prevention. Don't put words in my mouth. But my point my point is that's absolutely a realistic concern of anybody in the downtown. But there are ways to deal with it.
Sure.
And they don't necessarily. The concept, even in that vision concept that you have there, you can't see it, but the architect's rendering reflects the fact that there would be sort of a front entranceway similar to what's down at the Lenny's Walgreens. You have that long, whatever you want to call it, aisle before you actually go into the stores. In that concept that he has, it's kind of the same thing, but it would ramp up, and the first floor elevation would be above flood elevation. And in fact, it doesn't take that much. It's only like a couple of feet, I think, in that area. So again, it's not hard to deal with.
Yeah, that's what Nicholas was saying, is that new construction is totally different now.
Yes. Where the challenge is dealing with structures that have been flooded, and you want to try to reuse them. FEMA regulations are, you can't put more than half the value of the property into repairs and construction. You got to get everything out of the basement, so on. Raising buildings is an option. It's just the complications of trying to resurrect a building that has been flood damaged are complicated, just because of the physical requirements to do it, as well as the regulatory requirements.
Sure.
So, frankly, dealing with a new building, a lot easier than dealing with trying to salvage a lot of the property on the north end.
It's going to take a lot of fill. To get that.
Yeah. But the grand scheme of things, fill is cheap.
Yes, of course. Somebody asking about any ideas for the old Soups and Greens building, and of course, anything you want to say about that. And I would love to have Josh Jerome in here as well.
Yeah. So. Well, I think a lot of I know Barre area development through our interim director Kyle Rinker was working hard to try to make connections. And I know, as I've been told, there have been a few parties who have looked into it. I understand one or two with the idea of putting a restaurant back in there, but I think there are certain complications. All of the restaurant furnishings were stripped out and sold, so it's not ready to go as a restaurant. Somebody would have to make that investment. You have to negotiate a favorable lease with the owners, which sometimes can be a challenge. So I'm not worried that something won't go in there. It's just hard to tell what it will be. And does the space get broken up into smaller, commercial operations?
Yeah.
But a lot of people, again, anybody on the street, gosh, we need Soups and Greens. We need, it was supported the auditorium and all the events up there and so on. And I'd certainly like to put in a plug for Tasty Bites. Tasty Bites has come along and is a nice venue for breakfast and lunch that they at least helping fill the breakfast void.
Yes.
Which there was nothing once Soups went out. course, the old L&M Diner that unfortunately caught fire, and there have been a number of businesses on Main Street in Barre that have gone out of business because of fires over the years. I'm going all the way back to when I was in grade school.
And the city market seems like they're doing well.
Yeah, and I keep telling them I got to go in there and take a look at it. My wife and grandkids have been in there and they like it.
Tally right next door.
Yep. Yeah. So,
bottom line, we got about a month to come up with
$110,000
to secure this property so that we can take the next step.
Yep.
Which, frankly, would be very exciting. I think people would love to see.
I think it
the
would
demolition.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to go there. As I said somewhere along the way here, the fundamental objective of this initiative is to get the ownership transferred out of the hands of the existing owners. That will be a huge, huge, huge accomplishment. Plenty of other huge accomplishments that have to occur after that. But the reality is, and sort of to manage expectations, it's not like the building, if we're successful and the property gets transferred to the city, it's not like, the next week, the next month, something's going to start happening over there. Right. I mean, again, what will happen over time is all of the preliminary work that you just don't see that has to be done. It's updating the environmental site assessment. It's ultimately, raising the funds to do whatever remediation is required. Raising the funds to raise the building. Those take time, hard work, perseverance, and I guess I said it, time. Yeah. So it's not like something's going to happen the next week once the building gets sold.
And people need to stay privy to what's going on by connecting with city council meetings, showing up in person on Tuesday nights, or tuning in, watching, listening, and pay attention to the conversations that are happening and engage with these conversations. Be part of the conversation.
Yeah. And it's not like BAD's intention here is certainly is to affect the property transfer.
Sure.
But it's not like it's not as though once it gets turned over to the city, we don't care and we're going to walk away.
Right.
We will continue to be Barre Area Development. We continue to be a partner with the city to do what we can to help advance the redevelopment of that site. That's within the core mission of Barre Area Development.
Outstanding conversation with you.
I always enjoy coming here. You make it easy.
Is there anything else that you can think other than the obvious of please tune in tonight, listen, pay attention to city council?
Yeah.
Anything else you can think of?
No, I mean, I think an hour gives us a lot of time to cover a lot of territory. I mean, I've covered everything that I could think of that I think just important to get out in terms of factual information. I really appreciate the opportunity and enjoy it because it's kind of fun.
Be patient. We say to everybody here. Be patient.
Yeah.
If you can make a donation, please do.
Yes.
We also don't want you to empty out your child's piggy bank, but if you can make a donation comfortably.
Let me tell you, we have received donations from $50 all the way up to $50,000, and that's not an exaggeration. I mean, that's true. That's the range of donations. A lot of them are in the $1,000 to $5,000 range. We've had $25,000 donations.
And you've had everyone on BADC chip
in.
Yes,
and again, the average contribution from the 15 directors is $5,000 per director. That's range, but that's $75,000. So we've put money where our mouth is. And the ways you can make a donation, you can write a check to Barre Area Development, mail it to Post Office Box 265. You can go on the website,
BADC.com.
Yeah, I think. Make it through the website, or again, find out information on where to send it. you could, if you know any one of the directors, you can certainly hand a check to a director, and that will go to the, go to the office and get credited. So
there's many people that have already invested in this financially, but there's so many. All of us are invested in it emotionally.
Yes. Yeah.
So step up if you can.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking.
It is. I guess that's the point. Yeah. Okay. We're we got a chance for a second bite at the apple. It's we're either going to be successful or not. There's no no more extension of the fundraising part of the campaign.
It's game time.
It's game time. Yeah.
Thanks for coming in here, brother.
The timing was great. Thank you very much.
Please let me know. I'll be tuned in tonight, but please let me know when you want to come back in here.
Sure.
Come alone. Come with Nicholas. Come with Tom. Whatever you want to do. I'm ready for you.
If I do, we need to get Josh Jerome in here.
Love to. Please.
He'll be either on his own. He's perfectly capable of coming in here on his own, or
great guy.
could come with him.
Knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he's got an amazing skill set, which is exactly what BADC needed at this time.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
All of us, all of our listeners, we appreciate all of your time in getting this put out there transparently for all of us to see and hear. So.
Yeah, that's the facts are always helpful.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you
Have
very much.
a great rest of your day.
All right. Will do.